So yeah, from there, we're going to go into a slightly slower one that's going to teach some interesting concepts. We're going to go to PieSweeper. Now, currently, I don't have a pie graphic in this. I'm sorry, we don't, but we'll go from Space Invadux to PieSweeper. We do have a toucan instead of a pie. There's no sound in this one
There
yet.
is no sound. That's absolutely fine. And for those,
Oh, need to hide that.
that wasn't there when I played it earlier.
Yeah,
Ta-da!
okay.
Hot code.
On your that works.
Yep. So you might remember this game. Yes, I got this one. So you can simply select the ones where you think the pies are, and then carry on working through. So, for those who don't know, the square with a number in it will tell you, or all the squares surrounding it, how many pies there are. So, this one, we know there's one in all of here, and there's two here. So, we can go ahead and flag that. And because this one has these two within it, we know there's nothing there, and we can continue around like that. And I
Nice.
found a pie.
So this is kind of more of a time wasting and kind of a nostalgia game. It's not really a classic arcade game, although it's a
Mm.
classic Windows PC game.
I remember when you
Um,
were working on this, there's quite a bit of logic involved in making sure the right things are shown, and that when you're clicking on it, like the whole island appears if there's a
there's
load of
some
blanks.
interesting things you have to learn. One of them is, well, first we're using tile maps, so we have to introduce the whole concept of tile map, how to paint with tiles, and we'll play a little bit with that. But then we need to generate the board. And when we generate the board, we have to know not just where each pie is, but how many pies are in each surrounding square. Because when you press the button, we need the right number to come up.
Yeah.
And if there is none, we need to keep expanding until we hit a number. So there's a couple of interesting programming challenges that I think will challenge people when they're first starting, but it's a great way to get into the mindset of how do you turn
Mm.
uh, a problem into a logical piece of code. You know, something that we could describe in a couple of lines of text or a couple of seconds of speaking. Um, each square will have a number that shows how many pies are in
Yeah.
each surrounding square.
And of
How do you
course,
do that in code?
with coding, one of the ways of looking at any type of coding is it's about problem solving. And so actually having a decent problem to solve rather than a made up problem, if you know what I mean by that. Sometimes problems are forced, whereas this is a genuine problem. How do we work this out?
Mhm.
Gets your brain thinking, and thinking
The Mad
logically.
Tinkerer says, "Does PieSweeper use the new tile map?" It does. It does indeed.
Ooh.
Um, and there's a couple of other interesting challenges. Like we have to teach people how to let the Godot know I have clicked on this tile, which isn't difficult once you know about tile maps, but it's not instantly obvious to someone
Yeah.
learning coding. So yeah, there's some fun things there. And from there, we'll go into another classic. We are going to go into what was going to be called Tukey bricks, but then I got creative with the word bat. Now I have shown this one before, but Mikey, take us through a quick game of Spooky Bricks.
Okay, let's switch over and press play.
Now I think the extra spooky mode works. I'm not sure, but
Oh, it's mouse controlled.
it is mouse
I
controlled.
forgot that. Come
What
on.
happened? Oh, it's just going slow on my side. Okay. Our conference software does
No,
not like this much movement.
not small ball. Big bad.
So again, we are using tile maps. So now we have to figure out when a rigid body is hitting a tile and what to do about it. We've got various power-ups. We've got this lovely little trail that I added today just to make it more interesting for photographs. It's surprising amount of little challenges that you don't think about when you're first making this game, which is a great way to get into a mouse controlled scrolling game. Now, we don't want to make everything retro, right? So we want some new style games. But this is surprisingly compelling to make. Only one level on all of these so far. We will talk about how to change levels and how to make things more difficult. But yeah, we're literally just painting this level as a tile map. The gray square bricky things up there are what do you call it? Um, You have to hit them twice.
Yeah.
The ball is Bob the Skull, whom you may recognize. The bat's name is Boris. We will be having the return of Tuki, obviously, and Panda Friend from Tuki Bubble. And we will be having the return of Avery and Any Bunny. That's right, that's what I'm calling them. And maybe a couple of others. We'll let you guys design some. So yeah.
Sorry, do I have to stop playing? Because this is
No,
actually
you can keep playing. I'm
surprisingly
enjoying watching the
fun.
bouncies. The tail works reasonably well considering
Yeah.
it's just a line 2D.
Anyway, I'm gonna pause that so they can see our lovely faces again. Hello and back. Yeah, so one of the great things about the games that we've chosen, because we went through quite a few different variations, and yes, these are all very basic games, but we also want anybody, especially if you're new, to be able to pick it up and get going straight away. The more complex or the more pretty you make your game, often is the case that it ends up taking a lot longer to get to the end result. So initially, we just want people to have those quick wins and to be able to create and build upon the learnings that they've had before. So we're dealing with
Absolutely.
tile maps, and laying them out for the sweeper, and then
Mhm.
we've got tile maps. But this time you're painting it, so you get to design your own levels using tile map. And of course, with tile maps, that's how a lot of platformers are put together as well.
Yep. Um, and we're going to want at least one more 2D game that I haven't designed yet, mostly to deal with things like how to make things really pretty in Godot in 2D. It might be a platformer, might be an infinite run, I'm not decided. Um, the first 3 games are very retro.
Hmm.
I'm hoping that's a good decision. I think the games are fun to play. Yeah, as Mad Tinker says, it's always good to
Yeah,
start simple. You can add complexity. That's kind of what we want. We want you
yeah.
guys to be so proud of these. It's why we always want to make games as our projects rather than toys. Because we thought about things like a pub name generator or a dice roller, which is a good programming challenge. But once you have it, it's not fun,
Hmm.
right? It's not really something you're going to enjoy sharing with your friends. Well, you might enjoy sharing with your friends. They're not going to enjoy playing it.
Because
Like,
ultimately,
oh,
this is
good, I made the
not a
frog
game,
and
is it?
pig. Yay. Right. Um, but something that you can make your own, something you can expand. I think that works quite well. There's also the advantage of us making our own sprites for these things, and consistent characters, meaning that we can actually work on here's a complete set of movements for Space Stuck if you want to use them in a platform game. Here's one for Legit Penguin, who is returning to us from Mag Racer when we had the Legit Penguin thing in the tunnel.
Love it.
There's Bob the Skull, who's just recurring characters just to give it a bit more
It's bringing
personality.
everything together as well.
Right.
Definitely.